and welcome to our second masterclass in our 4-week series. My name is Janene Babauskis, and today I am talking to people about their health breakthroughs using a technology that's 15 years ahead of its time, and their journey with ASEA, who's the company who brought this technology to market 10 years ago. So the technology is redox signaling molecules, and Vertus Norton, the founder of ASEA, successfully stabilized redox signaling molecules outside of the body in 2009. And at the time, this was and is still considered scientifically impossible. So it's one technology, two products, an ASEA signaling drink working from the inside out, and Renew 28, a signaling gel working from the outside in. So our guests today are Jen McDonald, Wendy Mason, David Penrose, and Di Marsh. And my first guest is Jen McDonald from Queensland, Australia. Now, Jen is a reflexologist who specialises in the recovery from toxic medical treatments and her client's journey back to health. She's a clinic owner and is a much-loved leader in the Shine Bright team. Thanks, Jen, for joining us today. Tell us how and when ASEA came into your life.
Well, ASEA came into my life in March 2016, and I was introduced by a reflexology colleague at the time, and she knew I had a lot of inflammation in my body, so she knew it would help.
So what was the impact of your health having high inflammation?
Well, I had a lot of discomfort in my hands where I couldn't actually bend my fingers very well. And I also had a problem with my left hip where I had inflammation in my left hip. And what I was looking at doing at the time that this situation was happening is I was actually going to be reducing my hours in my clinic because I just couldn't function. And that really meant that by reducing those hours, I had a real source of worry, really for two reasons, and that was financially, and also I just really worried that I wouldn't be able to take care of the well-being of my clients at the time.
Yeah, like because if you can't use your hands, basically you've lost your craft, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you started using the Renew 28 gel on your hands, didn't you?
I did. I started, rubbing it in and rubbing it into all the joints and also into my hip. And within 1 week, the discomfort that I had in my hands completely went away, never came back. And then I found also some changes with my left hip, which was quite amazing at the time.
Right. So now you've got the use of your hands back. What was the impact in your life with that?
Well, I got the full function, the flexibility back of using my hands. And then I knew that I actually had a future with reflexology, so that I actually could keep going in that career, which for me was really important to be able to actually keep going.
And I just want to clarify for people listening, that was in a total of 2 weeks, you could see that you had a future with reflexology that wasn't looking that way.
It wasn't looking that way at the start of that year, but by end of March, it was certainly making a change. And then with my hip, it greatly improved within about 5 weeks. And what I noticed is that I was gardening and walking and doing all those things that I hadn't been able to do. But the most significant thing that actually happened for me was when I was at a conference centre in Brisbane, I had to walk up a flight of 30 steps. And normally my thing would be I'd hold on to the railing or I'd get some kind of support as I walked up those steps. And actually what happened is I got to the top of those steps and I'm standing at the top of the steps and I went, I don't have any discomfort in my hip anymore. And at that point I knew it had resolved. And my osteopath had actually said to me, that will never repair in your hip and you will always have that and it will just get worse over time. And it was gone in 5 weeks.
And you'd had that hip issue for 5 to 6 years, correct?
About 6 years, yeah, correct.
Oh my goodness. So I'm getting goosebumps. I've heard this story before, but it still does this to me. Were there other areas of improvement in your health that you noticed?
Yeah, after I used the gel, I started drinking the molecules. And the first thing I noticed was a big improvement in my digestive system. and I started to tolerate foods that I hadn't been able to be on. And then I had increased energy. I had a chronic skin condition on my hands that improved. I had improved sleep. I used to get some head issues where I used to have some medication and lie down, and they just completely went away in 2 months. And one of the things that people comment on today, but they did early on, was the improvement in my skin on my face. And I still get that today, how good my skin actually looks.
Yeah, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
And we also talked about exercise, or if you were out in the garden for a full day, you know, what was it like before as opposed to being on the redox in terms of recovery?
Before I wouldn't want to be in the garden. I would only maybe spend an hour there, but after redox I could actually spend quite a number of hours and know the next day I wouldn't have any issues at all. I'd be able to walk normally and just be able to have my normal day and be able to function.
Yeah, not have that downtime of recovery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the sum total of that is you feel what?
Well, you feel great. You feel you've got vitality and you've got energy, and you feel like you can do more, and you can be more involved in life and be more with your family and your friends as well.
Exactly, because you're feeling younger.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when did you start to see a SEER as a possible income stream?
Well, being a therapist, I added the product, the gel into my clinic. So I stocked it and my clients started to purchase it for themselves. And then I told them about the wholesale option that I had. So they then took that up, and they started to see significant changes with their health. And so at that point, I started to receive an income from a SEER, and I was just blown out of the water by that.
Yeah, and then you had some of your other colleagues, they caught the vision also.
Yeah, they caught the vision. I enjoyed the education process of talking to people about the technology and how they could actually also receive that kind of an income. And then some of my friends and colleagues also caught that vision. So then I started to develop a team.
Yeah, and just tell us, what do you love most about a SEER?
The thing I love the most is the product, obviously. I just love the product because it works, and it's just such a beautiful, simple product. And what I love is just to see his ability to transform health in people's lives and their finances. And I love the solid friendships I've gained along the way, and the travel, wonderful memories. But mostly I love the integrity of the founders, because they said no to pharmaceutical and they said yes to putting this into the hands of the people. And that's why I'm here today, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, and you know, with what's going on in the world at the moment, I know you haven't been able to practice as a reflexologist. So how is having an SEER income stream, what's that provided for you?
Well, it's provided me 6 weeks of income because I haven't had that. I'm obviously going to be able to start back soon, but I haven't had that for the last 6 weeks. And two things: provided me with income and provided my clients to be able to actually continue with their journey with their health, because they're using this amazing product.
Yes, it's like having Jan and other practitioners at home with them when they can't be with their practitioners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much, Jen, for sharing your redox story today.
Thanks, Janene.
And our next guest is Wendy Mayton from Victoria, Australia, who until recently taught statistics at Deakin University. She is a property investor, and prior to teaching, she had a nursing career. So, where is Wendy? Just need Wendy to pop up. Hello, Wendy.
She's unmuted. Good to see you.
Hi, Janene.
Yeah, can we see Wendy's picture? We all want to see you. Want to see that fabulous background you've got as well. We'll just see if Nicole can get your video working. Thanks for joining us today, Wendy.
You just have to accept to start the video, Wendy.
There she is. Yay. So, Wendy, how and when did a SEER come into your life?
Okay, I was introduced to Renew 28 by my kinesiologist. I was suffering really bad chronic discomfort in my big toe. And when I was complaining to Peter, my kinesiologist, he came over with the gel and we put it on. And I had, we put it on 3 times in 5 minutes, and I had instant relief. My relief went from a rating of 8 out of 10 to 0. And this really got my attention because I knew that I'd had this for 10, 15 years, which it was just getting worse. And similar to Jen, the doctors had just said it was just going to be something I'd have to contend with, and just put up with it. And I was like, this is just unbelievable. It shouldn't be happening. And for the next 5 days, every morning I got up and walked. I had no discomfort at all in my toe. I cried because I thought, from my knowledge of cartilage and the human physiology, this shouldn't be happening. And also I could see a future going back to running, which I love doing. So yeah.
Yeah, so Wendy doesn't enjoy walking. She loves running. I don't even relate to that. And you've been running like ever since, and you don't even need to apply the gel. That's the bit that really strikes me as being amazing. So, you know, you applied it for 3 to 4 months, and now you don't even apply it at all, and you do what you love to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's just go back a little bit. What was the impact of living with constant discomfort in your toe?
Well, I just was always distracted by it. Even when I was sitting down, it was there. And I was told I'd have to get a toe fusion, which would have meant surgery, which of course introduces problems in itself. And then that would mean that I wouldn't be able to run anymore. And so that really stressed me, because I find that a very good release for stress.
Yeah.
And of course keeps me healthy. So yeah, that was something that really upset me.
Right, so you ordered in some Renew 28 and started to apply it. Just tell us a bit more about that.
Yep, so I was putting it on 3 or 4 times a day for the first month, and then I gradually weaned off it. So over a period of 3 to 4 months, I weaned down to 0 gel, and my toe was completely back to what it was 20 years ago. So yeah, it was unbelievable. A lot of my shoes didn't even fit anymore because I was so used to the swelling of it. Yeah, being
Wow.
there. So yeah.
Yeah, and this is it. Like, you know, you'd been living in that discomfort for years. No wonder you cried when you got up in the morning and it was gone.
Yeah.
Like, hard to believe. So what other areas in your health and vitality did you notice?
Well, I'd had a 13-year-old neck injury, and that gave me a lot of discomfort, restricted my movement, and I would get debilitating discomfort in my head as well, and that would sometimes go for days, as well as nausea. And I started to put the gel on that, and it started to free up my neck and get rid of all those issues that I'd been having, which was unbelievable. And I also noticed because I exercise every day, I bike ride as well, I had just extra energy going up the hill on my bicycle. And when Peter told me there was a drink, and I started to read testimonials on the Facebook group, I thought, I need the drink. So I started to drink that. And yeah, I haven't looked back, but I'll never go off it. It's amazing.
So you're clear the molecules work. Let's talk about how and why you, Wendy, share the molecules.
Well, when I saw people's results, especially apart from my own results, I felt a moral obligation to share, especially because I know the limitations in, you know, other paths forward to health. So yeah, that was something that I felt compelled to let other people suffering know about it.
Yeah, because you'd worked in a Western medicine model, and yeah. I know you were seeing things that, like, in that model just shouldn't have been happening, correct?
Yep, correct. Yep.
And so now, Wendy, you're investing more of your time to share the molecules. Let's just say a little bit about that.
I made a commitment to myself that when I reached bronze, I would resign from my teaching position, and I reached that last year in November. So I'm committing my time to educating people about redox and helping people with their health and their financial goals as well.
Yeah, congratulations on achieving that rank last November.
And you helped me.
Oh, and I loved it. Wendy, what do you love most about this business?
The people. I mean, I know the product's amazing, but the people, because you're working with people that really want to help others, and the personal growth that you have to overcome and be supported by those around you. The rewards that you make a difference to people's lives with their, not just their health, but of course, potentially with their income is priceless. And the other thing I love about it is it gives equal opportunity for everybody, no matter how old they are, what gender, what education level. It's a level playing field. Everybody can do it and everyone can achieve whatever level they want to.
Yeah, exactly. And I've often heard it said that network marketing is just a personal development life in disguise, right? Because we can, our business can only grow as much as we grow ourselves personally. I love that about it as well. Thank you so much, Wendy, for sharing your redox journey with us today. Thank you.
Bye.
So next, we are hearing from David Penrose from Queensland, Australia. And David has worked in the area of software development technology adoption since 1984 and riding the wave of massive changes in that time. Thanks for joining us today, David, and sharing your ASEA story. So tell us about, when ASEA first came into your life.
Yeah, thanks, Janene. We started in December 2014 when Cheryl saw the business opportunity. I didn't at the beginning. And she'd resigned from a direct selling company, which just wasn't stacking up with our own personal ethos and how they did business. Excellent products and that, but it just wasn't quite in the space we needed to stay in.
Yeah, and I remember when we were chatting early days, you said, it was too good to be true, and I totally get that. However, you trusted Justin and Nicole.
Yeah, that was really important to us because we didn't really understand what they were trying to talk about. It was just, this couldn't be real. And we just thought, okay, well, they wouldn't be taking us down a track that wasn't right. And that's really core to if you're going to go into business with someone, you really want to feel that you can trust who you're with.
Yeah, and I'm just going to ask Nicole at the end today to just say a little bit about Justin's journey, because you knew Justin and Nicole, and Justin himself recovered from a very serious and debilitating condition. And I know there are people on the call today that possibly do have that condition, but so here you go. And often we're introduced to people we know, even though we don't quite understand the technology, but we trust that person. So where were you at the time with your own health, David?
Well, we were into alternate things all the way along. And I actually had a kidney disease, a kidney condition that I've been monitoring with specialists for 15 years. And I was managing that with lifestyle choices. So I didn't want to take the conventional medical approach to treating that. It wasn't getting worse, but it wasn't getting better anyway.
Yeah. So how did that like in the background, what impact was that having on you?
Well, looking back, you don't realize how much you settle for with your health. So it was a bit tedious because I had to be focused on what I was eating, getting the exercise happening and things like that. And it sort of had a cloud over my well-being in the future, but I just sort of accepted it. Look, this is how it is. I wasn't even thinking about it. In fact, when we started ASEA, I wasn't even thinking about my kidneys. We were just looking for a business opportunity, and it just so happened there were some pretty serious health benefits. So we were going over one of our rewards trips one year, and I thought, well, I better have a medical before I go. It's coming up to that time every year. And the doctor came back and looked at me and he said, your blood tests are unremarkable. And I said, well, what does that mean? And he said, well, if I hadn't seen your nephrology reports, your specialist reports, I wouldn't believe you're the same person because everything's within normal ranges. And I thought, whoa, that was just something I was not expecting.
Yeah.
And it was just so surreal.
Exactly. How beautiful to have that cloud lifted, though.
It was.
So what were other areas that you noticed or experienced an improvement in?
Well, I was working in technology, with technology, the given is, and even right today on calls, that by the time people come to talk to you, they're just not their happy selves. So I had a great increase in stress reduction and mental clarity and just dealing with situations that I hadn't sort of had the same amount before, and just being on the redox helped. Also, just being out in the yard, your endurance and recovery, like we push mow an acre or so. I do that to keep fit. But you also, you know, and normally you don't have to crowbar be out of the bed the next day as before redox.
Yeah.
But when you're getting a bit older, like we are now,
Yes.
you know, things just don't work quite the same. And you know, you get stiff and sore and that when you've done something you haven't done very often. Also out in the yard, you're liable to run into some wasps or different things in the garden. And, you know, I got stung on the eye once with about 6 or 8 wasps, and right around, normally that would have just blown up, and it's pretty uncomfortable and you might say a few things you perhaps shouldn't. But when you just put the redox gel on, all I ended up was 6 or 8 little dots around my eye, and there was no discomfort and I could just continue on. So pretty much first aid, it's our first go-to. Anything that happens that involves first aid, we bang, get the renew out, stick your finger in the sear if you've cut it or whatever, and the bleeding decreases.
Exactly. And actually I had the experience of a wasp sting a couple of weeks ago, and I got to experience how wonderful the gel was. So, you know, the molecules work. Let's talk about the leveraged income.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting in our current situation, because life hasn't changed a terrible lot for us. But you know what? We jumped in because we trusted Nicole and Justin in December 2014. And to this day, we're getting paid for work we did in 2014. And so many people just don't get what leveraged income is. And if you're a doctor now, you might be making hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you're not right now because you've got no patients. You don't have the people coming in, so your lifestyle stops. And what really excited me about this whole thing was we could start with someone where they're at today, and it could be with a health condition. They might not really believe that you can help them, but we know if they engage with us in our community, we have so much to offer. But this is your life, this is your health, so you need to jump on board and do something with us to help it. Plus, the financial opportunity is a big deal. So starting with people where they're at is just the way to go, because we all are at different points of view as we go, different experiences. But the key to this really, to me, what I've loved the most about it is the journey along the way. It's this business model. We've been on half a dozen overseas trips that we would never have done. We've met people all over the world who are head in their medical fields, New York Times bestsellers, whatever. And we know these people as friends, and that would never have happened if I stayed in my normal job here. And to be honest, my dream was sort of flat. I'd run out of steam. I was settling for with my health. It was maintaining, but there wasn't much excitement in life. So yeah, this is a whole family that we've joined here, which helps with our health and helps with our wealth. I love it.
I love it. I love it. It's a fabulous model, because what I noticed working with people and myself is, you know, we gave up on our dreams. And with this model, you know, we can start to dream again and create whatever we want. Thank you so much, David, for sharing with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Janine.
Thank you. So let's hear from Di Marsh from Melbourne, Australia. Now, Di's background is 15 years in a corporate role, working in finance with a leading bank. And in 2017, Di invested in a franchise model and a second franchise in 2018 as her exit plan from corporate. So let's hear from Di. And I'm going to ask Di off the bat, how and when did a seer come into your life, Di? So we're just waiting for Di's video to come on. Here she is. Hi, Di.
Janine. Hello.
Hey.
So
tell us about how you discovered a seer.
Yep. So my life in 2018, September 2018, I caught up with my sister, who's 5 years younger than me. She'd had a really dreadful skin condition on her face, red, angry skin condition on her whole face for about 14 years. And went down to see her at her holiday house and could not believe her skin. It was just glowing. It was clear. Her shoulders were back. Her head was held high. She'd not only cleared her skin up, but her confidence had increased as well.
And the interesting thing about that, Di, is you'd seen her like 3 weeks before, right? And there was zero change. So like there's like this transformation. And I remember you telling me you're at a cafe and she's walking towards you. Just say a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we were initially when we met, we were down Ocean Grove, and she come walking towards myself and my partner, and we both thought, you know, just a young girl walking some poodles. And I looked down at the poodles and they were her poodles, and it was my sister, and we were both like blown away. So I said, what are you doing? What are you taking? She sort of gave me a little smirk and she said, oh, something Peter's got me on. And I'm like, phone Peter, let's talk to Peter, please. I want what you've got. I want what you're having.
Yeah, like I remember you saying like I want it all. So yeah, so you set up your account, you ordered your product, and you started using it a week later. So tell us about what you noticed.
So I noticed my hair and skin quite quickly. My hair is growing quicker. My nails are growing quicker. My hair, definitely hasn't changed colour, but definitely growing quicker. My endurance, my energy levels, definite improvement. The real improvement come for me about 5 months later. So I have partial thyroid. So I had a partial thyroidectomy 15 years ago. And so I've been on thyroxine medication for that whole 15 years to help my thyroid work as a full thyroid would. And I went for my routine blood test in February, and my thyroid was being over-medicated, which meant I had to reduce my medication. So the doctor was a little bit confused. He said, this doesn't usually happen like that, but let's reduce your medication and let's do another test in 2 or 3 months, I think it was.
Yeah, so let's just clarify that you'd been on the medication for 15 years, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And you'd been on the redox just for 5 months, taking the regular dose, which is 60 mils twice a day or 2 ounces twice a day.
Correct.
And the doctor's like, something's going on here. We need to reduce your medication. And he reduced it by 30%, correct?
Correct. That's right.
Yeah. And he goes, hey, we shouldn't be seeing this. I really need to check you again in 3 months' time. So what happened in 3 months?
3 months, I went back again, and they further reduced my medication. And he was like really perplexed, scratching his head. I still remember that appointment, and he was like, well, I don't know what's happening here. Maybe we need to send you for an ultrasound. Maybe, who knows? Who knows? He went, who knows? Maybe your thyroid's growing back.
like he really believed that. Yeah. And scratched his head. So, hey, I would say to everybody out there, watch this space, because Di will be going back for another blood test soon. So you clear the molecules work. Let's talk about the business.
So I left the corporate world, as you said, after 15 years and purchased 2 franchises. They were my sort of plan B to escape from being employed and going to the self-employed model. 3 years down the track, we know that that's not financial freedom. We've just bought ourselves a job, basically, with lots of overheads, lots of restrictions, not much support. Not any mentoring, not any ability to travel, unless we pay for it ourselves, of course. Yes. But just, and you know, we've got full-time staff that's, you know, like I guess I heard someone say it on another call, full-time kindergarten.
Yeah, so here you are, you bought into a business thinking, boy, this is going to create freedom, life after corporate. And what you've got is a lot of stress, you know, almost dictated to, perhaps money being invested into marketing that's not working and you don't have a say in it.
Yep.
And and if you'd have known what you know now, would you have stepped into that model?
Definitely not.
No.
Definitely.
So what do you love about ASEA?
The freedom. Absolutely, the freedom and what people have been able to achieve, like financial freedom, but time freedom. I hear that a lot. The travel, the people, The product's amazing. And just the ability for it to be what you want it to be, like however large or, small you want it to be, you have that ability. So untapped potential, I would say.
Exactly. And I love what David said, where you can just meet people where they're at. Like if they just want an extra $500 a month, yeah, you're there for that. If they want an extra $10,000 a month and bigger, you're there to create that with them as well. So if anyone asks you if this is a pyramid scheme, what do you say?
It's a really easy answer. I just say, well, are you the CEO in your company or, where you work? And it's like, no. Okay, so you've got someone above you. Yeah, of course. You've got managing directors and managers and CEOs, and there's a corporate chain there. Yeah, of course. Okay, so they get paid more than you. Yeah, of course they do. Well, that's a pyramid. That's exactly what a pyramid is. Being in a franchise model, that's also a pyramid, because the franchisor earns a lot more money than what I do as a franchisee.
Exactly.
So it's a pyramid model, right?
Except the word of mouth distribution model. I mean, that's the craziness of it, isn't it? The misconception people have.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, just untapped potential for whatever you want it to be, and just the freedom, the financial freedom, the time freedom, which is something that I don't have at the moment.
No, it's all about lifestyle, isn't it? And that flexibility.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Di, for sharing with us today.
Thanks, Janene.
Now I'm going to call on Nicole Dennis to come in. She's going to do a little spin, and we're going to have a giveaway. And Nicole, I know we're getting short on time, but I know we've got some listeners from the US who have a challenge in the area of a condition that Justin had. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder if you could just give a little 2-minute on that before we do a spin.
Yeah, sure. So we were introduced to Asia, and Justin and I both had some health challenges. He also had a franchise at the time, which was like buying a job, an 80-hour-a-week job that didn't actually pay. So he ended up with like a very severe, a health challenge he'd had for a long time, becoming very severe after that. That was caused by a tick-borne infection. And he was very sick, unable to like read, very, very dysfunctional, unable to work after that, after he had to close his business, and actually unable to leave a dark room a lot of days. So he used these products in conjunction with some other holistic type therapies, and he was able to fully recover from that debilitation in a very short amount of time, in 5 months, which is very, very short for that kind of condition, if you know anyone with that. So it actually gave us our life back, and then we decided to pursue this as a business model and became very successful in that as well. So that was really, really incredible to do that. And that's how I met you, Janene, obviously through this. So got connected with a whole new community of people, but also were able to create a business where we really do have time and money freedom. So of course we still work, but we get to kind of be very flexible about when that is. And we get to take a lot of time off as well, particularly in school holidays. Now we have a daughter in school, which is wonderful.
So we're all here today as a community, really, because of Justin and your journey back to health and well-being. And I'm so appreciative of that. Yeah, thank you. And